let's talk about one of the best Necron lists in 40k right now, and how it competed to almost win a 325-person tournament. This list is all about durability, not so much about mobility. It's extremely difficult to try to shift, as it has a lot of high wound regenerating units, as most Necron lists kind of do. I know that a lot of these units went up in cost with the recent errata, so let's see if we can modify the list to still make it compete at 2,000 points. And here's the list. It starts off with a Satan Shard of the Void Dragon, 2 Hexmark Destroyers, 1 with the enhancement, the Sovereign Coronal, Orakan the Diviner, 2 Overlords, a Technomancer with the Hypermaterial Ablator, a Transcendent Satan with the enhancement, Sempiternal Weave, of course, you always take that, an Annihilation Barge, a Canoptic Reanimator, 2 squads of 2 Crypto Thralls, 1 for each. Lichguard squads, there's 2 Lichguard squads in here, 1 with Dispersion Shields, 1 with War Scythes, a Doomsday Arc, and 3 Tomb Blades. So the core of this list is those big unkillable Lichguard mobs. Orakan the Diviner grants his entire unit of War Scythe, Lichguard, and Crypto Thralls, and an Overlord a 4-up invulnerable save, which is extremely powerful, and when the stars align, he can go full beast mode and triple his attacks and his strength. This is incredibly strong if you ever get caught in a situation where you're fighting something that you just can't deal with. The other Technomancer, Lichguard, Overlord, Crypto Thralls unit has the Hypermaterial Ablator. While the bearer is leading a unit, that unit has the stealth ability. In addition, each time a ranged attack targets that unit, if the attacker is not within 12 inches, models in that unit have the benefit of cover. This makes these Lichguard ridiculously strong, as they would have -1 to hit, and because there's an Overlord in the squad, -1 to wound with their particular ability. So you have 2 almost unkillable blobs. What do you add to this kind of a list? You add 2 Satan Shards. The Shard of the Void Dragon is a beast, and if your opponent is playing vehicles, he's going to be almost unkillable. With reanimation protocols and his ability to essentially steal life from vehicles, he's extremely difficult to kill. The Transcendent Satan, however, has a 4-up Feel No Pain because of the Sempiternal Weave. Now, they both have a Necrodermis, which halves incoming damage. These guys are also extremely durable. So you currently have 4 incredibly strong units on the table, but not a lot of firepower. This is where the Hexmark Destroyers come in. They have a slew of tricky abilities, and if you lose some models in the shooting phase, if they're close to those models, they can fire back. They can also fire Overwatch in your opponent's turn and then fire on your turn. So they get a ton of shots for their point costs. And 1 with the Sovereign Coronal will be giving +1 to hit to units around them because it counts all units as having a character in them, which works with command protocols. You've got a little bit of firing with the Annihilation Barge and a lot of firing with the Doomsday Arc, and 3 Tomb Blades to zip around and try to steal objectives. It's not a huge list. You don't have a lot of units, but they're so powerful, especially with a Canoptic Reanimator, really making those reanimation protocols extra good. But how did it suffer in the recent errata, and how did its point costs change? Well, let's go through all the units that increased in points. The first one is Hexmark Destroyer. It went from 70 points to 80. There are 2 of them in this list, so that's 20 points right there. The Transcendent Satan with the Sempiternal Weave went up from 290 to 310. The Canoptic Reanimator from 95 to 115. The Crypto Thralls, both of them, 140 to 60. The Doomsday Arc from 185 to 210. And both Lichguard squads with the shields, the swords, and the other squad with the war scythes go up from 190, so a 40-point increase for the Lichguard squads. This sadly puts this list 195 points over its 2,000-point limit. How can we make up 195 points in this list and still keep it that core of durability and close combat damage? I think I've found out a way, and I would love to hear your opinion on it as well. Here's what I think you could do. I have never been a huge fan of the Annihilation Barge. Its abilities are good. Its shooting is okay, and its maneuverability is quite good as well. I just don't think it fits in this particular type of list. If I have to cut anything, the Annihilation Barge for 115 points seems like a fair cut. Now we're left with 80 points over our 2,000 point limit. There are only 3 units that fall into the 80 point category. Orakan the Diviner, which we will not be taking out, as he is an absolute Lich pin with the Lich Guard. A Hexmark Destroyer, remember one of them has the Sovereign Coronal, so he goes up to 110 points, so that doesn't work. We have to take the other one, and the other additional unit is 3 Tomb Blades. So we're really left with taking out the Annihilation Barge and either the Hexmark Destroyers or 3 Tomb Blades. Personally, I would take out the Hexmark Destroyer, as the Tomb Blades can cover objectives, they have scout, they're very, very fast, and that's something that this list sort of lacks. That being said, the Transcendent Satan can jump around wherever it likes and can be a real terror wherever it needs to. I just feel like the Tomb Blades, who also have pretty good shooting, add a little extra kick onto this list, and the ability to scout and move 14. It's going to be able to get you on objectives that you otherwise might take a turn or two to get to. This would bring us down to 2,000 points, and I still think this list is really strong and extremely viable with those 2 squads of Lich Guard that are practically immovable, the Canoptic Reanimator keeping them alive, and 2 Satan running around the battlefield causing an absolute ton of havoc. The Hexmark Destroyer, of course, if that's the thing you take out, you still have 1 remaining, and it's going to be really, really effective because it can shoot not only on your turn, but as a overwatch for free, hitting on 2s. And additionally, if a unit beside this character gets destroyed, it gets to shoot again. So it has 3 different instances where it can fire its guns, and its guns are pretty effective. I love seeing Orakan the Diviner in a list, as I'm currently reading The Infinite and the Divine, a Warhammer 40k novel. If you are into Warhammer 40k novels, definitely pick up The Infinite and the Divine. It is fantastic. It's an incredible read. I have nothing but positive things to say about it, and it's a really cool book because it's not focused on Space Marines. It's all about Necron and the nasty, cool technology that they possess. The list being 2,195 points currently hits pretty hard, so I'm curious to see what you guys would take out or possibly just replace altogether to still keep that oomph and that big punch that this list possesses. And of course, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I would love to see what you guys would do to try to repair the overcost on some of these units. There's also a couple channels down in the description that you should go and take a look at. And as always, thanks for watching.